Welcome to the eCommerce Badassery Podcast, the place for scrappy entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran and former brick-and-mortar boutique owner who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to the eCommerce Badassery Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster. This is week 3 of our Badass Basics series, where we're breaking down the foundational stuff every e-commerce store needs to have in place, whether you're just getting started or you've been at this for a few years and possibly skipped a few steps along the way. Today, we're diving into your product page, the closest thing you have to a one-on-one conversation with your customer without actually speaking to them directly. It's doing the job of a sales associate, answering questions, building confidence, and helping someone decide to buy. If you think in terms of being in a brick and mortar store, as we have been doing so far in this series, think of your product page as the conversation you're having with the customer on the sales floor or in the fitting room. When it comes to your e-commerce website, even if you don't sell something visual like apparel or jewelry, your photos are still one of the most important elements of your product page. Not only does the human brain process images faster and before words, the quality of your images subtly hint at the quality of your products and the reliability of your business. If you've got product images that are poorly lit, blurry, inconsistent across different products, that doesn't always translate to, oh, here's a small business doing their best. The customer might be thinking, oh, this stuff is cheap, or I might not get what's being advertised. That's not to say you have to run out right now and pay a professional photographer. You can do a lot with a pop-up tent, an iPhone, and some editing software. The point is to be intentional with your photos and how you're presenting your products. At a minimum, you want a clean, product-only shot on a white or light neutral background, a lifestyle or in-context shot showing the product in use or being worn, a scale or size reference shot, especially for anything where size really matters, jewelry, bags, home goods, and then close-up detail shots for texture, material, and craftsmanship. Video can also do a lot of heavy lifting on your product page, even if it's just a short 15 to 30-second clip. It doesn't need to be fancy or even have your face in it, but showing the product in use from different angles with a voiceover describing the scent, the flavor, or just showing scale can go a long way to giving the customer the experience of touching and feeling your product like they would in a store. If you're going to do video, please go watch some Home Shopping Network to give you an idea of how they talk about describe and display items when selling through a screen. If images are something you struggle with, check out Shopify's newest app, Tinker. It's an AI tool designed to help you create product images and videos. For example, taking a plain product shot and putting it in a lifestyle flat lay or on a model. I was pretty impressed with the results when I tinkered with it, no pun intended. I wouldn't rely on it as much for video, though you can definitely play around with it, but it had all of the hallmarks of AI-generated video with disappearing objects, that kind of thing, but the image capabilities are really good. Once your photos draw them in, your product descriptions need to keep them there, and your descriptions need to sell, not just describe. Selling means leading with the benefit, not the feature. The truth is, your customer doesn't care if your candle is made with a coconut soy wax blend. They care that the scent fills the entire room, that it burns clean, that it lasts a really long time. The wax blend is the reason why it does those things, but that's the supporting detail, not the headline. Your t-shirt isn't 100% organic cotton. It's soft, breathable, and doesn't irritate sensitive skin because it's made from 100% organic cotton. See the difference? The feature backs up the benefit, it doesn't replace it. If you're not sure what benefits to lead with, the best way to figure it out is to read your own reviews. Your customers are handing you the copy. If every other review says, this is so much softer than I expected, or the color's better in person, or I didn't even have to light the candle and it still filled my room with the scent, that's what your description should be saying. Use your customer's language. That's what resonates with other buyers because they are the same type of person with the same concerns. I talk more about writing product descriptions that convert with Reese Spikerman in episode 187. I'll stick a link in the show notes if you want to check it out. While what you write is important, the way you structure your description matters just as much. You've got two types of shoppers on your product page, scanners and readers. Scanners are scrolling fast, looking for the key details. Readers want the full story before they commit. Your description needs to work for both of them. Start with a short, punchy opening, 1 or 2 sentences that hook them with the biggest benefit or the most compelling reason to buy. Then a brief paragraph that hits the key selling points, and then bullet points for the specs, details, the stuff the scanners are looking for. Dimensions, materials, what's included, care instructions, whatever applies to your product. That way, the scanner gets what they need from the bullets and the reader gets the full picture from top to bottom. Nobody has to work to find what they're looking for. Now, depending on your product and how much information you need to include, you might also want to use accordions, those collapsible tabs on the product page. This is especially helpful if you have products that need more detailed specs, things like ingredients, care instructions, that kind of thing. There's no one right way to set this up. Some stores do great with a solid description and bullet points. Others need the accordions to organize everything clearly. It depends on what you sell, how much information you need to give, and what your customer needs to know before they buy. Your description should also be answering objections before the customer even has to ask. Think about the questions that would make someone hesitate. Is this actually going to fit me? Is it worth the price? How long is this thing going to last? Am I going to be able to use it? Is it going to work for my unique, specific situation that they think nobody else in the world has? If you sell apparel, that might mean calling out the fit, runs true to size, or we recommend sizing up if you're between sizes. Obviously, you want to have a size chart with measurements as well. If you sell skincare, maybe it's gentle enough for sensitive skin or no burning or tingling. If your product is a higher price point, your description should be reinforcing why it's worth it. Talk about the craftsmanship, the longevity, the materials that you're using. Now, the good news is when it comes to the objections, your description doesn't have to do all this heavy lifting on its own. Some objections are simple enough to handle right in the copy, like we were talking about, a quick line about fit or a note about materials. But if your product has a lot of common questions or needs more detailed explanations, that's where a strategic FAQ section on your product page comes in. We're going to talk more about that in a bit, but the point is between your description and your FAQs, every major hesitation should be addressed somewhere on that page because every unanswered question is a reason for someone to leave. And most people aren't going to go hunting for the answer. And while powerful descriptions can do a lot to convert a customer, at the end of the day, people trust other customers more than they trust you. Let's transport back to the brick and mortar scenario. Let's even put you in the shoes of the customer. If you're in the fitting room trying something on that you're even slightly unsure about, the sales associate telling you how amazing you look can help. But you know what really seals the deal? When another customer shouts out, "That looks amazing on you." As the customer, you know the associate is trying to sell you something. But a random compliment or encouragement from a stranger, you automatically trust that more. That's what product reviews do on your page. If you're not already collecting reviews, please start doing that now. My favorite review app these days is Judge Me. You can get started for free, but they have one rate for their pro plan and it never goes up. I'll stick my affiliate link in the show notes. I appreciate your additional support. If you have products that turn over quickly, you might want to focus on store reviews instead of product reviews so you don't lose all that great feedback. And if you haven't been collecting reviews or you're struggling to collect them, don't panic. Screenshots of comments on social media or in your DMs are a great place to start. I talk more about collecting reviews in episode 16. I'll stick a link in the show notes for that. Obviously, it's an old episode, but it's still 100% relevant. The only thing that's really changed is my platform recommendation. So your photos, your description, and your reviews are going to do most of the work on your product page, but there are a few other things that, if they're missing or hard to find, can create just enough hesitation or friction and ultimately cost you the sale. Let's start with shipping and return information. Don't make people leave your product page to figure out how long it will take for them to receive the item or what your return policy is. If you offer free shipping, make sure that's visible from the page. Maybe that means it's in your hello bar. If not, you could put it there. You could also mention it on the product page. If you have a free shipping threshold, you should also be talking about that. If your product ships within 1 or 2 business days, or maybe it's made to order and it takes a little bit longer, make sure you're telling them that too. The more clarity you give people at this stage, the more likely they are to be confident shopping with you. The same thing goes for returns and exchanges. You don't need your entire policy on the product page, but give them the headline version. Free returns within 30 days or easy exchanges, no questions asked, and then link them to the full policy so they can go read it if they want. A visible, clear returns policy reduces the risk of buying from you, and reducing that risk is one of the fastest ways to increase conversions, especially if someone has never purchased from you before. Now, if your product has relevant certifications or any sort of third-party credentials, you'll also want those to be on the product page or visible from there. Things like Leaping Bunny for cruelty-free, Fair Trade certification, B Corp status, USDA organic, whatever is relevant to your product and your customer. Some of those things might be featured in your footer. That's cool. You might want to also just put a little icon on the product page to make sure they don't miss it. If you're selling CBD or supplements, then you definitely want to include your third-party lab testing results. Super important. If you're selling something with sustainability claims, it's ideal if you can back it up with the actual certification. And mind you, these are different from like those generic trust badges you see everywhere, the ones that say 100% secure checkout or satisfaction guaranteed that literally anyone can put on their site. And I mean, maybe I'm doing the thing I tell other people not to do, which is like, don't let your own preconceived notions get in the way of doing something good for your business. But I don't know. I think with the rise of drop shipping and everything that has happened over the years, those just come off a little spammy, and I don't think they carry very much weight. But a recognized certification that your customer actually cares about, that's going to build real credibility because it's something you had to earn, not something you just copy and pasted. All right, so let's circle back to FAQs real quick, because if you remember, I mentioned earlier that your product description doesn't have to handle every single objection on its own. An FAQ section right on your product page is a great place to address the questions that come up over and over. The key here is to make your FAQs specific and strategic. You don't just want your general store FAQs like shipping and returns and that kind of thing. You want them to be focused on that specific product. So what does the customer need to know and understand so they feel confident buying it? If you're constantly answering the same questions in your DMs or customer service inbox about a specific product, those are the questions that belong there. And of course, an accordion format works well for this. It keeps the page clean, lets people open only what's relevant to them, and it doesn't add visual clutter. So everything we've talked about so far is what I'd consider the bare minimum for the majority of your product pages. But if you have a super small product assortment, or you have a handful of evergreen bestsellers that consistently drive the bulk of your revenue, you might want to take it a step further and create a dedicated landing style page for those products. This is where you go beyond your standard product page template. It includes more storytelling, more social proof, more lifestyle imagery, maybe a comparison section, or a deeper breakdown of what makes this particular product worth it. Think of it less like a product page and more like a sales page built around one product. I have a whole episode on how to create these landing style pages, so we're not going to go too deep into it here. It's episode 294. I'll put a link in the show notes. You can go take a listen if it sounds like it applies to your store. So what are your next steps? Start by doing a mini audit on your site. If you have a really wide product assortment, just start with your top 5 to 10 best-selling products. Don't spend hours on this. Look at your product pages through the lens of the elements we talked about here today. Your photos, your description, shipping and returns, reviews, FAQs. Make a note of what needs to be updated and set aside dedicated time to actually do it. Start with the easy stuff first, updating a description, adding an FAQ section, make your shipping info visible on the page. Leave any photo updates for last, since those tend to take the most time and effort. And don't forget to check out Shopify's new app, Tinker. If product photography is something you struggle with, it can help you get a lot further than you might think without hiring a photographer. All right, friends, that is a wrap on this week's Badass Basics episode. Make sure you check the show notes. That includes all the other episodes I referenced today, along with the previous 2 episodes in this series. You can get all of that at ecommercebadassery.com/371. Have a kick-ass rest of your day, and I'll see you on the flip side, friend. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you want to learn more about growing your e-commerce business, get started with my free resource library at ecommercebadassery.com/free stuff and get an invite to the Lounge, my e-commerce marketing membership. When you're ready for one-on-one support, apply to work with me at ecommercebadassery.com/apply. Before you go, would you do me a quick favor? Leave a rating and review and tap that follow button. This pushes me up the chart so I can support more scrappy e-commerce entrepreneurs just like you. I'm on a mission to reach as many as I can, and I could really use your help. Thanks so much in advance. Until next time, e-commerce friend, stay badass.